What's going on, everybody? Godzilla Options here. It's been a bit since I've made a video, so I figured I would start with something a little fresh, very similar to our coffee and chart setup that I was doing on Sunday mornings. But we're just going to do a quick outlook on the week, going through the sectors and then looking at SPY, and then we'll go through and look at the typical list that I trade. So I'm gonna start with SPY actually. I mean, man, this is the weekly time frame. So just kind of looking at things, everything's really continued to down. Just to give you some clarity on what we're looking at here, the yellow lines that you see, whether they're broadening formations or horizontal lines, those are the weekly time frame. So I have broadening formations on the weekly time frame, and then my levels on the weekly time frames. And then we have the blue lines, the light blue lines, those are going to be our monthly time frames. So in this case, the dash blue is going to be our monthly levels. Then we have a broadening formation down here on the monthly as well. If I were to zoom out, there's going to be a monthly broadening formation somewhere. I think on SPY, maybe not on the top side, since there really wasn't a lot of top side yet. So okay, so the next thing you need to know is I have green and red lines as well. Those are going to be my daily levels. So we see a 2 up here on the daily. So Friday, this was the high, 396.78. And then the low is down here, kind of in this clutter of mess, which is both a weekly level, a daily level, and then a liquidity level. So that is what we're looking at here on SPY. So if I were to switch to the daily, you got a better picture of what we see here. So all right, so here's our daily. We have liquidity, and that's just through. But so anyway, liquidity. You can kind of see everything down here pulling together, both the daily and the weekly. So that's a key level here, right? We break the daily and the weekly low. We have the potential to move down quite a bit here. So our next daily level would be down around the 385.46 area, and so on. So that's what we're going to be looking at now. The downfall here. Oh, look at that! It's Labor Day. The downfall here is, I mean, I guess it's not necessarily a downfall because we actually have a potential actionable setup on the daily for SPY. A 2 up, it almost went 3, didn't go 3, but we have a 2 up. And then so if we end up going 2 down, bypassing this level to the downside further, then I definitely see some more downside, like I said, to this, our price target would be about 385.39, which is crazy considering, again, less than 2 weeks ago we were sitting up here in the 430 area. But anyway, that's what I'm going to be looking at here. This is the 2-2 reversal on the daily. Not really anything actionable on the weekly. Just have a 2-2 continuation, but I'll be looking at daily levels anyway, since I kind of want to get in and get out relatively quickly. So look for a break of that, and then a retracement to retry, see if that level down below holds, and if it doesn't, we come back down, and that's the time to get in. So that's going to be SPY. We'll look at QQQ right quick as well on the weekly, and then we'll move over to the sectors. So again, very similar to SPY, a continued 2-2 down continuation there. I look at the daily. It is a failed 2 up. So what we have is, again, the potential of downside play. So the weekly and the daily levels are by each other. There's also some liquidity that's sitting around here in this 294.35 area, just based on some smaller time frames I was looking at. So we have, again, a nice little drop, but the actual price target isn't really that great. 291.47 if we were to get a downside play. So again, see if it's going to come down, and then retest the levels here, the daily and the weekly, since they're so close together in that liquidity level. And then if they come back and continue to reverse down, then we definitely have some more levels to take out here. 288, then all the way down here at the 280 area, where there's, again, some more buy liquidity. Okay, so those are the big ones, SPY and QQQ. Let's take a look at the sector, see what we're doing, go back to the weekly. All right, so if I'm looking at XLC, so this is going to be the communication sector. So you're going to have, gosh, AT&T, T-Mobile, those types of communication stocks in here. So we have our weekly levels, the high of 55.54 and the low of 53.63. To the downside, 2-2 continuation. Again, nothing really looks that great if you're just trying to get in on a weekly time frame, but we do have a 3-bar on the daily. So we could be looking at a 3-2 down, and then I guess at that point we'd want to see if we're going to get a 2-2 continuation, or maybe we've met exhaustion to the downside and we get a 3-2 down, but then we end up seeing some buyers step in and then we bring it back up. So then we have a 3-2-2 reversal. So XLC will be on my lookout list, or I'll be watching XLC, let's say that. So not Tuesday, but probably Wednesday to see if we're looking at maybe a 3-2-2 reversal. XLE. So this has been a lot stronger than everything else. You can't really tell based on the daily here, but if we look at the weekly, it is one of those that's been going up versus everything else kind of just going down. So I think it finally met some exhaustion though last week. That's why we got the 3-bar, but then we did end up seeing some buyers step in, so then we brought it back up here. But we do have an outside bar on the weekly. 85.18 is the upside play. 77.42 is going to be your downside play with some liquidity. So if we move back down to the daily level, it is a failed 2 up. So we could end up getting in on something below 79.53, and our price target would be down here, the weekly trigger, which would then be kind of a continuance to stay in the play, or trim at that point because maybe we get a rebound. But trim, manager reward, and then maybe keep a runner, and then you have some liquidity down here, the 76.49 area, and so on. So that's what I'm going to be looking at. XLE, again, failed 2 down, but then also take it down to the weekly trigger. So Lee is high on my watch list. XLE is going to be, like Chevron, Oxy, basically gas, and oil. Okay, so moving on to XLF, looking at it at the weekly, again, another 2 down. This is pretty much the name of the game here. Not a lot's going to change as we look through these sectors, so don't really expect much different as far as what I'm going to tell you here. But our 2 up if we get a 2-2 reversal over 33.81, 2 down below 32.51. There is liquidity sitting here, so we'd be looking for buyers to step in. If we just fail through, then we're going to be looking to go down all the way to 31.51, 31.23 area, and so on. So now I'll talk about how I did these levels here, and actually a different video, so that I can keep track of videos for y'all. All right, so yeah, let's look at the daily. The daily, again, a failed 2 up. I mean, this is a pretty strong failed 2 up as well. Comes all the way back down, pretty much around the 50% mark of the previous day is kind of where we decided that we were going to be stopping. So what we're going to be looking at is potentially getting in a play under 32.73. Yep, 32.73. For a 2-2 down, but then we're going to be looking at the weekly trigger of 32.51, kind of a domino effect at that point. And we're moving down, hopefully past this liquidity area of 32.42, and then I talk about liquidity here. Why I want to point this out right quick. So I put an area here. Look at all the previous lows that kind of sat here. This is, I mean, you might as well consider this kind of a consolidation zone. So between the monthly trigger to the downside, which is the $33 mark, and then the weekly, and then this, kind of where all the lows are sitting here, there's just this sideways movement. So that's why I'm calling that some buy liquidity, because eventually it did kind of pop itself up. So that's what that kind of is about there. So then after we get past these consolidation points, we're sitting here looking at this level way down here of 31.99. So you might as well just call it 32. All right, so that is XLF on the daily. Get it on the weekly? Oh, yeah, it's going to be 2 down. So XLF, things like banks, JPM, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, so on. XLI, industrial, so 3 on the daily again. So I'd be looking for a 3-2-2 reversal potentially, or just 3-2-2 continuation. Daily, the weekly, of course, as with everything else, another 2 down. So just again, there's not really going to be a lot of actionable weekly triggers that we have here, sadly. So yeah, just kind of keep that in mind. And technically 3-2 isn't 3-2 down isn't really a play, but you could always play it. I mean, you know, some folks in our Discord actually are really good at playing 3-2 breaks, and then I mean, they're quick in, quick out plays, but they do 3-2 breaks all the time, and it works out pretty well for them because the three breaking the higher low of a 3-bar is actually pretty aggressive. That's what we have noticed. It's just you don't want to stay in the play long. So XLI, XLK, some technology. So similar to QQQ. On the daily, again, failed 2 up. We're going to be looking at the takeout 132.15 and the domino effect of 131.78 for the weekly low, the previous low. Now, I wouldn't get in on the 2-day break. I'd probably be looking down on the weekly at that point to kind of move your trigger entry down to the weekly target. Consider it like a compound 3, and you know, then you're looking at some buy liquidity down at 131. So, I mean, quite frankly, while tech can move quick, I'd be looking to see how quickly it moves through these 2 areas here. And if it continues to move downward, then we are moving down to 126.82 area, really all the way down to 126.26. So those are key things to keep in mind. I do like to look and see how things consolidate around these levels. And why do I say that? Well, if we move out to like the time frame, so take a look at the previous week high here, for instance. It pretty much kind of kept trying to go up and go up and go up, and then just eventually failed. So we did, you know, we saw exhaustion here. That's what I'm saying. So I do want to see when we get close to these levels, you know, do we end up seeing some, you know, do the buyers step in, or are they just exhausted? They're not willing to be there to drive the price up. So, bleh, and it just kind of flops down some more. So that's really why we look at levels and on multiple time frames. All right, XLP, consumer staples. So zoom in, zoom in. So again, 2 down on the weekly, nothing fun or fancy there. Now what we do have, if you look over here on these weeklies, a lot of consolidation. So I mean, while it's still 2 up, 2 up, 2 up, and then a 1, I mean, look at these. These are doji. These are indecision candles. That's what we're looking at right here. These indecision candles. So what that means is, to me, this is a pretty key area, and we're sitting right around it. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised if we do see some potential, you know, again, some indecision candles, some dojis here, and move down. But I'd be looking for a break below the buy liquidity here of 71.71, and then the actual big move down to kind of fill out the price target all the way down to 68.80 on XLP if we continue to see some downside move. You know, hopefully, gosh, it doesn't really matter to me either way. I'll play, you know, either side of the play, but you know, my 401 and IRA, they care. All right, so XLU on the weekly, again, 2 down, nothing fancy. Excuse me. So buy liquidity right around the weekly target, and then we just have the drop down to the monthly 2 down. So that's actually what I'd be looking for with XLU. That, you know, the breakdown past the 2 down month trigger 72.62, just kind of move down all the way. That our price target is a pretty hefty one, but we are still very early in the month, so that is something that could be attainable 69.13 if we do continue to see a bunch of downside. So I didn't look at the daily on the previous one. Sorry, guys, but again, a failed 2 up. We went 3-2 up, so this could be, if we get a trigger below 74.38, this would be a 3-2-2 reversal to the downside. Our target would actually be the weekly target of the weekly low of 74.05. So at that point, your target's hit. You want to trim some, take some advantage of some profit, and you can just probably ride it down. Again, liquidity sitting around here, and you can kind of see it here on the daily. But the liquidity, I mean, the buyers stepped in, brought this thing up. So that's what I'd be looking for again. Are the buyers still sitting around here? So that's what buy liquidity is all. So we're going to look and see if buyers exist still. So that's why at that point you want to tighten your stops. You know, it's potential chop or reversal, or again, just drop through, depending on any sad news that we hear about nowadays. All right, XLY, looking at the daily right quick, failed 2 up, just like everything else. So your trigger below 154.60, and then your target's going to be 152.93. Again, trim your profit, take your profit, I should say. Maybe keep a runner or two, because then you've got some movement down. Next target's going to be really shallow, actually. This guy right here, 152.57, and then you have 150.01, so 150. And you got some buy liquidity around the 146.96 area. So again, you're looking at the 2-2 reversal on XLY, and then you're looking on the weekly. Guess what? Oh boy, another 2 down confirmation. So nothing really crazy here. So I day trade, so I tend to draw my levels, but I want to know where the weekly and the monthly and the daily levels are, because they do act as, consolidation area, support, resistance. You'll see a lot of times price will just straight up hit a level and then reject it, or hit a level and reverse. So that's why I like to have those there. I won't take a trade if I get in too late and I see it coming down to that level. I won't take a trade because it could bounce right back up. I'll wait and see if it falls through. And if it does, and then we retest that level, then that's the time to get in. So we've retested, we fell through, we retested, failed, and then now we get to continue down. Or if you're looking at a play to the upside, we break through, retest, and then reversal back up. So that's really how you play it. Now, you're not going to do it on the daily or the weekly. You got your triggers, right? Your daily and weekly triggers. But you're going to be looking at something on a smaller time frame, the hourly, maybe the 15-minute, the 20-minute. Right? So those are going to be your sectors. Now, looking at the watch list that I have really quickly, this is only a 16-minute video so far. That's great. We'll start with American Airlines. So I look at I have a list of about 10 tickers that I trade, and that's really what I stick to. I'll deviate every once in a while, but not too often. So Monday through Wednesdays, I'll trade things that sit on the Dow, like American Airlines, Bank of America, CCL, DraftKings, so on and so forth. Basically, they have cheaper options, cheaper weekly options, and they go in the 50-cent increments since they don't move like tech does. But the nice thing is you can kind of go in bulk and buy these things if you're seeing a move, and at that point you can get in, get out pretty quickly. While your 20% isn't a ton, if you did buy a bunch, it works out to be, the math works out for you. Okay, so what are we looking at? American Airlines. So 2 down on the weekly, nothing fun there. But then if we look at the daily, again, failed 2 up. So our trigger would be 1287, drop below that. Then we have some buy liquidity around 1259, and then our weekly target at 1250. So you could get the 1250 puts if we do get a 2-2 reversal, and you're going to be looking to see if that buy liquidity holds or not. But at that point, I mean, you almost have 30 cents of value that you just got, intrinsic value that you just obtained. So with the move down from 1287 to 1250. So that's what I'll be looking at, American Airlines, see if we continue to go down. Now, I want to show you something else. 4-hour time frame's really been my jam when I'm trying to find this liquidity. So I'm going to zoom out and show you what I mean here. So when we're looking at liquidity, and again, I'll make a video dedicated to this. I just want to just talk about it really quickly since the levels look totally random, I imagine. So when I'm looking at liquidity, what I'm really looking for is bounces, and do bounces seem to occur around a certain area. So, take over here. On June 22nd or 23rd. So we had a drop, and then we had a really strong reversal. Then came back down, same kind of area. I mean, this wick, this wick is designed to stop people out that hadn't already gotten out here, right? That didn't take their profit when they got up here. They decided to hold. So people set their stop losses right below the entry candle that they got in typically. So this candle was designed to take that out. So then we just continue to move up. So to me, this buy liquidity here at 1259 is a pretty strong area. And then you can kind of even see that it happened again on the first 9-1. So we went down through it, and then we kind of reversed up. Now the question is, when you look at the strength of a reversal, like this one, pretty strong. This one was very strong. This one, it didn't really have the mustard that everything else had. It hit a level and then said nah. So we could see a move continued upwards, or it's just going to keep going down. But it's always good, again, draw your levels, look at things on a time frame, a smaller time frame. In this case, I'm looking at the 4-hour. You can look at the 1 hour too. But I found 4 hours works pretty well when you're talking about trying to find liquidity levels. So anyway, that's how I'm doing that. So again, I'll make a video dedicated to it. So back to the weekly. All right, so Apple Tech. So our 2 up. I'm 2 down week again, as with everything else. And then we got a failed 2 up day. I mean, this is literally almost every single ticker out here, y'all. So I mean, I would almost like to just not go through them all, but I'll go through them really quickly, and you're going to see the same kind of setups. And the general play is really going to be the same. You have your daily trigger that you can get in. If the daily and weekly are really close, I always just move it down to the weekly. So in this case with Apple, 2-2 down, I would definitely, or a 2-2 reversal, instead of getting on the daily trigger of 154.97, I'd be looking at the weekly trigger of 154.67 for a continued move. Now you got to look at previous price targets too, right? So, or previous day targets. So in this case, if we're looking at this all the way back on 728, there is a target of 154.41. So technically speaking, this play, especially since look at the day, that ended up in a hammer. This could easily end up being a reversal area for you. So at that point, knowing that, I sit here and wait until after 154.41 and then see if we drop through. Because then we're looking down at the 152 area. So that's a key thing to make mention of there. So okay, now again, AMD, looking at the weekly. Oh boy, a 2 down. So now we have a failed 2 up. So yay, okay. Well, now what happens? So well, we have our daily trigger at 79.81, price target at 78.52. If we do continue to move downwards, now this is what I'm going to be looking at here. I don't like that. That means, I mean, look at this. This is a hammer. Might as well be a hammer. It came down and the buyer straight up stepped in on the first. So to me, this area, I'm going to be more, I don't want to play this tiny little area between 79.81 and 78.52. That worries me just because of this particular candle here. So I want to see a drop through, say, okay, the buyers have left the building because they definitely stepped in here and brought this back up. And then I'll be looking for a move down. Amazon. So this day again, a failed 2 down, but this time we had a failed 2 up on Friday. So let's see if we start getting some consolidation here. That's actually what I'm more curious about now. So are we just going to go 2 up, 2 down, 2 up, 2 down, 2 up, 2 down, 1 1 1, 2 up, 2 down, so on and so forth? Or are we going to start seeing a drop? Was this just kind of a temporary bottom? Always draw a broadening formation here and see what ends up happening. That is an option there. So the weekly, guess what? So yeah, so that's going to be our idea there. Oh, and we're also sitting at a monthly level here. So the previous month, 126.74, that has some potential there to act as some support. Clearly, it acted as some sort of support because we went below it and then came right back up into it. So these are key levels here: monthly, weekly, daily. Keep an eye on those. And I mean, you can always play the move. I mean, this is a $3 move, y'all. Like, we do get the 2 down break. Price target would be 126.66, which is the weekly low. After that, gosh, you do have another big old drop to 118 and so on. So see where we go. If you notice, not really talking much about the upside as of right now, based on the fact that we just have some 2 downs, 2 downs, 2 downs, and a bunch of failed 2 ups on the dailies. There just doesn't seem to be a lot of upside out there. So that's something to keep in mind too. Okay, Bank of America. So this is one of those that I'd be looking at the trade on Monday, Tuesdays, or Wednesdays. Bank of America failed 2 up, little figure. And again, the buyers did step in though on Thursday, or on Thursday, 9-1. So that's something to keep in mind. Again, these levels, I mean, when you're looking at candlesticks and trying to figure out what's going on, you kind of want to look at the past, right? So take a look over here. Big old area. Circling it. Yep, this area here. This is consolidation before we decided to move up. So look where we're at right now. If I were to take the rectangle tool and draw like from, let's say, the average bottom. We're sitting back in that consolidation area. So we fell out of it on Thursday, came right back into it. Fell up, or I'm sorry, rocketed up, and came back into it. So until we kind of get out of this area, I'm not really going to be looking at trading Bank of America much. And by getting out of this area, I want to see a failed two down, or I want to see a further two down on the week to kind of come down this way, or an up to go up this way. I don't want to trade inside. This is chop, and this will well. All right, CCL. So CCL's been interesting. It's kind of been oscillating. What do I mean by that? Well, let me actually zoom back out like I just had it. So up, op, op, op. But look at this liquidity level here. Kind of around the $11 range, or $11 top, 11.10. And that seems to be where we get, and then it just reverses right back down. Down. Just down. So that's a key level for CCL, the 11.10 area. Now, if we continue to look at things from the smaller lens of the daily, now what we see here is a failed two up as usual, a nice little hammer. Well, so are we going to be consolidating again and going sideways? Because we might have a little bit below us here. This is kind of the consolidation area. So let's, I guess it's really us. So that's kind of our consolidation area. If we start seeing where like bottoms are forming here, so we're kind of back in that area. Now you could try to play it to get to the bottom, right? Like let's say we decide to go down another 2-2 down, 2-2 reversal. This is going to be your price target, the weekly. So you get it at 927. It moves down to 824, 894. Then maybe comes down to the monthly low of 857. That's always a potential play. But in the scheme of things, it's not going to be massive. I wouldn't be staying in this play too long because we're down in this area where it just seems to kind of either oscillate or just rocket up, back up towards 111. So keep that in mind on CC. I will too. DraftKings. This is one of those most underrated stocks, I think. I don't know how they must just manage money horribly or something, but whatever. I use it pretty much every weekend, but they aren't doing so hot. So let's see, from the daily, we have failed two up, go figure. Then if we're looking at things, we have the weekly trigger, two down weekly trigger at 1507, and then just a drop. I have not drawn any liquidity zones until we get to around the 1265 area. So we have our monthly, let me change actually anything. All right, so change that. 5 chart trade. Okay, so yeah, so we'll be looking at the failed two up to bring us back to the downside and see where we go. Again, you got your daily and the weekly pretty close together. I'd like to see a breakdown and then a retest and then another breakdown. So you know, that's what I'm looking at. And I'll be looking at that like probably on the 15 to 30 minute time frame, just to see what ends up happening. Don't have to take the trade at the beginning of the day. All right, Meta. Meta went 3 outside bar on the daily, so that is definitely an interesting thing. I mean, that tells us what? I mean, sellers are definitely in control. They took it down, but I want to zoom out right quick and kind of show you. This has relatively the same setup as CCL did. So take a look at where your bottoms kind of have been created here. So here's a bottom. So you just have a lot of consolidation happening right now. So, I mean, yes, there is some small room for a play, $3-4 in the scheme of things. That's nothing for Meta. So, do I want to play this right now? No, I'm gonna Meta's off limits. I need to see a continued breakdown because I mean, if I zoom out, then we have a breakdown all the way down here, 137. So that's kind of where I would be looking to target if we do get a continued breakdown. 140, probably a good psychological level. But yeah, right now, considering we're just sitting in this, you know, kind of the valleys, call them the valleys, I'm not going to touch it. MU, pretty underrated again as well. I love it. It's one that can give you some quick profits if you take your quick profit. There's days that I've decided to hold a little longer and it completely reverses and I lose my profit. I'll be the first to tell you. So take it quick. All right, what do we got? So imagine if I look at the weekly, guess what? It's probably a 2 down. Yep, sure is. So that's a 2 down weekly. So I look at the daily. We have a 3-2 up. So this is prime for a 3-2-2 reversal. So what we've been looking at is an entry below $56. Now that's key. I don't like the fact that it's a nice round number. That's a psychological number. So if we drop below 56, wait for a retest, and then if we fail that retest and go down, your price target is going to be the weekly low of 54.79. What do you do after that? Well, if we go through, I mean, I would definitely trim some of your options, right? Like if you bought 2 options, let's say, trim one of them, and then set a stop loss, a generous stop loss, not something that would completely negate the whole trade for you, but you know, set a stop loss because if you do see a bounce, you know, maybe you can stay in the play a little bit longer if all it is a temporary reversal to just kind of stop people out and then bring it back down further. So below 54.79, I mean, look at this. This candle right here is what we're playing with now. Price target for that candle is 52.09. There is some buy liquidity around the 52.70-ish area, so that's something to keep in mind as well. But that's still a pretty substantial move. That'd be a $2 move if it did drop through the weekly and come on down. Now, do note if I go take a look at the weekly, quick, that broadening formation there, that is just from from a kind of a almost a consolidation candle, but it is a previous low to a lower low, and we pretty much held that to a T. So back to the daily, you can kind of see the fact that once we dip below that broadening formation, it popped back up. So that's something to keep in mind, right? Like our weekly low is also going to be right around where that broadening formation is, and it does seem to be supporting it right now. So definitely make a tight stop loss here. Set a tight stop loss if you're going to play it. All right, Neo, last one on the list. So look at the week. Oh yeah, no surprise. 2 down on the weekly. And then we got a 2 down on the daily. So really no actionable setup here. Again, like it's kind of sitting that this, you know, reversal area here. I mean, this is just kind of sideways. I mean, while it's moving, I mean, if you're going to try to play something a little longer on Neo, you probably want to wait. And like this whole area honestly looks to be just like sideways move. And not saying you can't play it. I just prefer to try to find things that are going to be moving either up or down versus kind of just slowly moving down. But one thing, we are making lower highs and we are making lower lows. So this isn't a downtrend. So that's something to keep there. So with Neo though, the daily and the weekly and the monthly, we're all sitting here right now at the same level, 1773-ish. So what happens next? Well, on the daily, your price target, if we do break down below 1773, again, you don't have anything actionable on the daily though. I want to make that very clear. It's just 2 down. 2-2 continuations aren't actionable in the strat. So you can always move to a smaller time frame if we do get the daily break, right? Get the daily break, then maybe you'll move to like the 15-minute time frame and wait for an actionable setup to the downside if we do get that 2 down break. As your price target then would be 1649. Okay, so with that being said, the only thing that if you're new to my channel, the only other thing that I wanted to make mention of is the fact that we do have a Discord, and it's free. We give intraday alerts. So trying to get to the window to be able to move it. I pop that on. There we go. So the Discord's free. It doesn't cost anything. All I can say is that if you do come in here, just get into OptionZilla, click on the little checkbox, introduce yourself in the Introduce Yourself channel. Let us know who you are, how long you've been trading, what your goals are, favorite thing to do. I don't care. We're all friendly folks. We chat during the day, and like I said, we have a bunch of intraday alerts. We have 15-minute, 30, 1 hour, 1 day. At the end of the day, these come out. We have our weekly alerts. We have our monthly alerts, and these are all strat related. Then we have some 2 up, 2 down breaks, and then 50% retracement probability stuff. So, we also post things about things in the watch list and what looks good and what doesn't. So definitely join us. I'll put a link in the description field for you so that you can join. Again, it's free. It doesn't cost anything. So look forward to seeing you there. Happy trading.